standing, and I did a AI analysis off the receipt that he sent me, and that's what it came up with the guy David and Russell -J Gould, who got it. I believe they got that shit from the Netarus, the information that they got sent there, because I know why you can write a quantum mechanical constitution in one day, straight out the dome, you know. But I get into
you can with a computer program.
Well, yeah, you can with a computer program. Yeah, you can. That's right. That's right. Now I'm gonna get into that later on in the thing, but I want to build up to that. Now, based on what all you gave me, and I've been piecing everything together on how United States got started, and America, because America was another title that some other conquerors came and changed it around the corporate fiction. Now, so I'm finding out that all this starts with the Spanish Inquisition, the Doctrine of Discovery, the Papal Bulls, 1470s, leading up to Queen Isabella sacking Granada, 1992 from the Moors. But really, that ain't had nothing to do with us. They had something to do with us as Native Americans. I'm gonna tell you why, and that's gonna be part of my question. Now, what happens is once she sacked Granada, she got a flag. And that ties into what the Russell J thing. She got a flag from the King Muhammad or whatever, Ali, who was over Granada, and she got a seal. And with that flag, you need a flag on your ship to be able to sail without the pirates, who were called the Berbers, Berber Moors. They would pirate if you ain't got the right information or the right flag, right seal on your paperwork, on your manifest. They rob you and pirate your ship. Now, so they couldn't get over here before 1492 without having that flag. So what they did after they sacked Granada, they took the Granada flag and false flagged it. Now, this brings me to my first question. Could you go into the analogies, and it fits with the gang banging? It's the same thing with the pirating and the gang banging and the false flagging on the ships. Could you make that? Could you go in on false flagging and tie it in with the gang banging and how they deal with people that false flag?
Okay, so when the ship on the seas, when they false flag, they flying a flag that's not from the nation they represent, right? When you in the hood, let's say your girlfriend live in Vice Lord neighborhood, but you a GD. So instead of going on there with your Duke University Blue Devils jacket on, you put on your black and gold jacket and your black and gold cap and cock it to the left like you a vice lord. And the purpose of that is to be able to move through opposition territory without them knowing that you're not them. That's why we do the check-in. But the check-in got a bad name because people was misusing it that ain't from our culture. Right? They fuck you up. If you get caught false flagging by the enemy, you might be found in a dumpster somewhere. Right? Yeah. So the ships, but that go back to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the catalyst for that treaty.
Okay.
They thinking that Morocco was who the treaty was with. But Morocco wasn't a country to the 1900s.
Go ahead.
But there was something called the Royal Moroccan Charter Company. It was a corporation of the Spanish Crown.
Go ahead.
And the Royal Moroccan Spanish Company is the ones who was negotiated with a recently merged Virginia Company, Northwest Trading Company, right. And they all was shipping product from America back to Europe. They was robbing each other in transit, trying to return to either England or Spain the most surplus goods.
Right.
Right. They was stealing this from the tribes of the land, by the way.
Yeah.
And so, in the course of that, they needed a ceasefire because ships was being sunk and people was getting robbed. They was setting ships on fire on the high seas, and the crowns was losing resources. So they convened what's called the Paris Accord, where they met in Paris, France, neutral territory to Spain and England at the time. And they went into Paris and they signed the Paris Accord, which today we refer to as the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, to make a treaty to stop robbing each other in transit so that they can continuously siphon the wealth from the tribes of this land and export it back into Europe as a colonial holding company. The United States Corporation was the secondary constitution that was the blood of Crispus Attucks, that was the contract for the 200-year spell that John D told Queen Victoria, I believe it was, how to put us in a spell for to the close of the age, which was the spell was supposed to have been broken in 1976 on the bicentennial. The problem was the tribes re-attacked and took them back to war in 1812, and this gave the devil an extension. Elijah Muhammad talked about it in Our Savior Has Arrived, and he talked about it in Message to the Black Man, where he talking about the devil got an extension. This is what he talking about. The enemy is the devil. The devil not no spooky dude in the underground lava pit with a pitchfork. That's not the devil. The devil is the one that you fighting in truth versus the one that the devil told you was fighting.
Go ahead.
They create your enemy for you so that they can pretend to be on your side while they feed you to your enemy.
Right.
They disrupt your troops by infiltration.
Right.
They look like us, but they not us. Which is the George Washington challenge, that we wouldn't educate ourselves above the condition. That's why they said, right? Because once you put it in the book, now it's in writing. You have to make your enemy write it down, or else he'll say, I never said that. So they had to put all of the information in writing so that we can be able to say, oh, you did say it. You said it right here.
Right.
Contract. Yep, contract. Contract is derived in the manner that is pervaded today from international law of sovereigns. Used to be called the Divine Code of Kings or the Ancient Code of Kings. The counter guide to that was called the Ancient Code of Thieves, because it was pitting two distinctly different classes of people against each other, the peasantry versus the royalty. So the Pedagogy of the Oppressed is a book that talks about, from the perspective of the oppressed, how do you gain power? Right? Take your ball and go home. Long as you participate in your enemy system, keeping the enemy system alive. But most of us are so dependent on the enemy system that we can't separate from the system unless we die. That's not proper symbiosis. That's parasitism.
That brings my next question, Rod. So we found out that Queen Isabella was false flagging using the flag of Granada. That's how Christopher Columbus, who was really a spy for the Spanish Inquisition, to get over here and snoop the land out, which is why he came out with a diaries. And in his diaries, he talked about the people over here with gold. You know, they had all kind of gold. They was, you know, how they was Nubian looking, and they appeared, you know, like they was the, you know, he described how the people look and how easy they'd be to conquer. Now,
notice when he referring to us back then, they not saying they look like Africans, because African wasn't called Africa yet.
That's right. He didn't say, they say indigos.
They say they look like Ethiopians.
Go ahead.
right? If you look up the afar, if you look up the sign, if you look up, well, the sign is the little people,
Nipsey Hussle's
right?
bloodline
But
coming
when you
through.
look up like the Hadendawa tribe, the Fuzzy Wuzzies,
Mhm.
when you look up those tall tribes of the Sudan, the people, right? Product of the Inca, and the sign is the Zulu,
Mhm.
right? Those are different bloodline haplogroups from father lines and mother lines being different haplogroups.
Mhm.
It's genetic diversity by creating different bloodlines through different matrilineal systems and lines.
Mhm.
This is how the gods become the mothers of the earth. As they populate through one haplogroup, he's the god for that group. The goal is to convince everybody to only accept one mother as the god. Then you have to be forced to recognize the one mother who made that one father God. So you say, Hail Mary, Mother of God. But if she Mother of God, what do that make her?
God.
Fruit of the God maker. She's a God maker.
Go ahead.
She make gods. She's the creator goddess, the great mother. But the Father God, he's the great ruler, the one who even-handedly handled the affairs of men without distinction of right or wrong, but more along the lines of balance. Right? So in order to pervade justice, you have to be a master of balancing out situations in order for people to be able to find out the way beyond their karma. The thing right now that we fighting is manufactured ignorance through deliberate miseducation.
Go ahead.
Once we overcome the ignorance, we no longer subject to the whims of the miseducation. Everything is a probability in the realm of infinite possibility, which makes all things possible, which means everything is true and false at the same time.
Go ahead.
Blatant contradictions to themselves, right? It's the multi-dimensional dynamic at work. Because just because on this timeline is false, 2 timelines over, it could be true. And you never know when they're going to meet. Because you move into a convergence, they all got to collapse into a particle from the waveform. Right? So that means you coming into a singularity somewhere. That means all timelines must come to an end in order for a new timeline to take shape.
Hey Rod. Hey Rod. My next question, because I'm putting it all together. I'm piecing the whole storyline together. Now, so I found out like after 1492, that's when the Spanish were the first ones that really we was coming in contact with that was more trying to colonize
Because
us.
they was the first ones, the Catholic Church. The Tudor family was the ones who petitioned the Catholic Church to go to the higher ups to get them permission to colonize.
Yeah, okay.
So the Spanish came over here with the first lines of demarcation for conquest.
Go ahead.
Right? And it was the first red line. When you look it up in the maps, it's a single red line that the Pope wrote on the map for Spain. And it was somewhere along the eastern shoreboard of the Mississippi, going north from the Gulf.
Florida.
Right. And that's what made them determine to launch the attack on Florida. Right. And this how we got the Spanish term Seminoles. They tell us the Seminoles mean the runaways. I don't know what it means, because the root word is semi, which means half.
Go ahead.
Right? Noles. New Orleans is Nola.
Go ahead.
It's a Spanish rendition of a Creole term. Right? And it means semi-half, notice the half-blood Americans
Mm-hmm.
or the mixed blood Americans. It was a whole bunch of tribes converging. That's how they got the term.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave it this a different definition in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
They was also referred to as Cimarron, which where you get your Cimarron Cadillac from. The Cimarron Indians is Cimarron.
Go ahead.
Cimarron means semi-maroon, half maroon. The maroons that they referred to, we call them Gullah or Gullah Geechee.
Go ahead.
They was from the islands off of Carolinas in the Atlantic Ocean, but they would come to the mainland, and it was the Gullah Geechee Big Mama that issued the call that we was under attack. So this is how we all end up going into Florida. The people that was telling you was the runaway slave wasn't a brother. It was the long-haired Mongolian.
Go ahead.
Because that's who they brought over here from they long-standing 700-year wars with Huns and Vedics. And you got to remember they was under the influence of the Ottoman Empire.
That's right.
Right? So the Ottoman Empire, this is where you get your term days, bays, and L's. And Ali's. Those are ranking systems under the Ottoman Empire. Remember, they became Byzantine kings when they went from Babylon north across the western side of the Mediterranean. But they became Etruscans when they came across the Bering Straits and settled in what was called Tuscany, which overlaps with Rome. Right? So now that's called a bilateral assault. They're attacking from two different angles using the pretext of two different cultures. This is why they always say they changed the name from Istanbul to Constantinople under Constantine. Right? Emperor Constantine is the founding father of the church. Right? 325 AD, Nicene Council. The first of the ecumenical councils. Can't say that word. And from there, they set up several other councils because they was determined what parts of the country to incorporate in the practice of the church to be most effective in controlling the people. It had nothing to do with your belief in God or your ability to be liberated in your soul from the conjure work. They didn't never want you to be liberated. Right? The whole concept of a slave comes from somebody that think they better than somebody else, and that's how you know who they work for. Because soon,
go ahead.
God it tell you right in their good book, God is no respecter of persons. Right? That means that he don't show favoritism. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Let your yes be yes, your no be no. Stand on it firm, don't be moved. Become the master of the post in order to be the proper postmaster. We coming in on the North Gate to set the record straight.
Let's go.
Kong on the post with a gorilla grip. I guarantee you I won't bump a flip. I'm going to hold it down, standing with both feet on my 360 till I flip the 720 across the 1440. But they ain't ready for us. Science is too high. So you got to dumb it down for the people.
Hey, that brings me to my next question. All right, so they false flag. That's how they got past the pirates, the Moors, and they was able to get over here and start.
Morocco false flagging right now. They stole Noble Drew Ali flag, flat out.
False flagging. Okay.
They stole Noble Drew Ali flag in order to usurp the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Wow.
Because he was exposing the Zionist frauds for who they was, but only the tribes over here gonna know who they talking about. And they tried to set up Morocco after Noble Drew Ali was gone, because when you look up the dates, that wasn't a flag before it was Noble Drew Ali flag, which was a Cherokee flag out of the Carolinas. Here we is back in the Carolinas. You can't leave out Sweet Caroline.
That right, flag was in Salem too. The cities, it was more than like 100 cities of Salem over here, and all them cities that flag.
None of them biblically named cities was named them biblical names before the church came over here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I'm saying like it was a
None of
connection.
them biblical names applied to anything over here before 1492.
That's
Jericho City, the only cities that still got their names is the ones with Kemetic names and a couple other ones with what they call Greek names. Because we was teaching them suckers. That's how we knew all their languages.
Yes, right. What you said? This is my next question. My next question is, okay, so after 1492, we get all the Spanish Inquisition, Black conquistadors, everybody coming over that period of time. Then we get to the next key pivot point in them conquering colonizers. Pocahontas, Montaoka, who was the Parliament princess 1607.
Okay, first of all, you got to say, what do the Pocahontas mean?
Go ahead.
The secret is in the name they gave. Pocahontas means she just acted.
Yeah, but her real name was
Montaoka. But who named her Pocahontas?
I guess
it's a tribal word. It's a tribal word. That means that whoever called her Pocahontas was working for our side. Because the name means that she's a fraud. She's faking. She's a little girl playing a part in the park with the rest of the kids.
But her name was.
She's not real.
Her name Montaoka.
Right, I understand that, but I'm focused on Pocahontas right now. What does it mean? It's a message there for the tribes to know that it's a fraud at work.
Okay.
That's why they changed her name to Pocahontas.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
Because she was a fraud. She wasn't the rightful heir.
Okay.
They used her and sensationalized her, but the elders say she was faking. She was playing a part. She was an actress.
Okay, I'm with you on that part.
A fictitious character.
Yeah, I got you. So that brings me to my next question. I got you. She was an actor. Because I'm getting them parts down about how they pull that off. Now, okay, so but the thing is, they use her son Thomas Roth as to set up their first business, their first what they call a colony. It was a company business, and so what is your things on there about them being able to use him, saying that he was the Parliament princess's son and therefore he had blood rights connection to her dad, and that ties him back into the land. So all of his family members is bloodline with him.
Why do you think the elder told us his mama was acting? She and you read the story of what they said about his son, it can't be true. He can't be the rightful heir because the elder said that she was just an actress.
Go ahead.
She was a character put in play to use birthright. And then you tell the story about her son usurping the birthright. Go back over the story. You just told the story of why they told us that she was just faking.
They're trying to tie themselves into the vine, these particular dark-skinned Moors.
They try to tie themselves to the land.
Yeah, right.
It's easier to tie to the vine.